was willing to get into a plane that he built himself and fly across the country. Why he trusted that. It's a beautiful installation by any standards, and I thank you for bringing such care and attention as well as the quality of your work to our students and to our campus. We have Don's going to make a few remarks, but we also have a special moment too. The show is called Be Well Out Here, and there is a wellspring of interest in the environmental movement on campus right now, on all across campus, across different departments. Different individuals are really starting to sink in a very diverse way about what does this mean, not just preserving the environment, but what does it mean to be in the environment and our health in the environment. And the show here in the Miller Gallery Don's show was the inspiration to bring in the show that will be opening soon in the Fisher Gallery, which is Labor and Life, and it's photographs of Ecuadorians working in the environment, laboring in the environment. They're beautiful, by Leonardo Carrizo. And then in the Frank Museum of Art, we have a Brazilian artist named Alice Kohler. She photographs indigenous people, the Arauete, in the Amazonian river basin of the Xingu River. And she will be on campus on the 20th for her reception. So we're really focusing not just on the medium of photography, but we're looking at the environment thanks to the inspiration of Don. And we also have discovered, quite by auspicious accident or coincidence, that our Director of Choral Activities, Gail Walker, has also been investigating and looking into this. And she has a poem that she's written that she kindly accepted an invitation to read. So I'm hoping you'll say a little bit about the background for the poem, and then do a reading for us.
Don, this is absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
It's just beautiful. And I'm not a poet. The reason I wrote this poem is because I have a sabbatical coming up in composition, but also I inside just felt really driven to help our students when I can. And I wrote down a few words about it. I wrote this poem because I worry about the young adults in our culture, specifically the students I work with. In recent years, I've noticed a marked increase in the number of students I know who are hospitalized for depression or who are suffering from some sort of anxiety disorder. It's also become almost normal for students to have anxiety attacks. I never used to see this, but now I witness students having anxiety attacks. It appears that American culture is teaching, perhaps, that people must work hard and long on the job in order to have value. Nature, however, teaches us a healthier mindset and can help us redefine our center. And I actually wrote this poem while I was swimming and thinking about my students and how can I help them. I wrote it to remind them to take time to remember their connection with nature, as this incredible exhibition does, and to help them know that as they are now they already have miraculous worth. So I call it You Are Enough, and I will probably set it to music on my composition spectrum. You are what stars are made of, heaven brought to earth, child of water and soil, inhaling the breath of trees. When you stop to listen, you will hear your earthly clan. Rocks, oceans, creatures, and plants sing of your purpose, to gather all of life into your heart and to exhale love. And that's my poem.
Don, would you like to join us at the podium and say a few words? We should also say that we have not had a proper sort of podium, and anything that we would bring in would be really cumbersome in the space, and we never wanted to do that because we didn't want to deter from the artwork in any way. And so, just out of the blue, of course, Don walked in with this, oh, I made this, and the department couldn't keep it. So this beautiful podium will now be a gift to the department. So,
Yeah, the little sticker on the front comes off. So the next show, if somebody has an identity for their show, stick it on. Thank you, all of you, for coming this evening, and especially my out-of-town guests and family. It's quite an honor to be able to share with you my experiences and my work. I want to begin by expressing my sincere gratitude to Dr. Paul Eisenstein, the School of Arts and Sciences, the Department of Art and Art History at Otterbein University, and also to Midwest Photo Exchange. They output all of these images that you see from my cell phone camera. Did an incredible job, and they gave us an incredible price for doing it as well. Without their support, all those people support this sabbatical leave and exhibition would have been possible. I also want to thank personally Dr. Janice Glasky for her expertise in the planning and development of this exhibition. Dr. Glasky's incredible dedication to Otterbein's museums and galleries ensures that work exhibited in these spaces reaches the global community. We are very fortunate to have Janice as part of the Otterbein family, so thank you. I also want to thank Chaz O'Neill, who's standing here behind the camera, with his assistance in terms of getting this show promoted. He went around and got all the materials sent out, so forth, so they're very grateful for his help. My son Conrad and I were very fortunate to experience hospitality in the communities we lived in during our 7-month journey throughout the Intermountain West. We would like to thank those communities that include the Black Hills, South Dakota, Cody, Wyoming, Hamilton, Montana, Polson, Montana, Bull Lake, Montana, Missoula, Montana, Wise River, Montana, Seattle, Washington, Port Angeles, Washington, Reardon, Washington, Pendleton, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Avery, Idaho, and Boise, Idaho. It is good people that make places special. Both Conrad and I are forever grateful for the beautiful home and family environment my sister and her husband provided for us during much of our adventure. This was evident in my son's outstanding performance at Reardon, Washington Elementary during the fall term of 2017, and his winning of the school spelling bee. So congratulations, Connor. He also got a second place finish in the Bi-County bee competition in Richville, Washington. His teachers did not want him to go back to Ohio. Wanted him to stay. So we were truly amongst really good people who care deeply about our well-beings and eager to share with us a special place on this planet. Lastly, I want to thank my colleague, Nicholas Hill, Professor Nicholas Hill back there. When I ran the idea by him about this project, he strongly encouraged me to take the full 7 months away from Otterbein. And this, as it turned out, proved to be a life-changing experience for both Conrad and me. All that we experienced would not have been possible in an abbreviated trip, so thank you, Nicholas. I have a few Big Go West moments to share with all of you, and then I would like to open the floor to questions and comments. I began exploring the American West back in the early 1980s. I've covered much of it in a vehicle, some of it on foot, several hundred miles of it on a mountain bike, and that was the first time I actually got on a real mountain bike trail on this sabbatical. Most of it prior to that was a bike path or road. And I paddled some of it, including a stretch followed by Lewis and Clark. I've also viewed a good portion of it from a single-engine aircraft. Flying over this landscape at low altitude is a privilege beyond my ability to describe with words. From the air, you can literally see a line on the earth where the Midwest ends and the West begins. This is where the high plains rise up to meet the Rocky Mountains, and this is where I become more alive. My connection with the West is such that when one asks where I'm from, I usually reply, I teach in Ohio, but I live out west. The Rocky Mountains are considered sacred by Native Americans, and I consider them sacred to me as well. On this journey, my son and I chose to drive, walk, climb, ride, and paddle so that we could be intimate with the landscape. We wanted to watch it, touch it, smell it, listen to it, feel its energy, and pause as long as we wanted in areas that required one to do so. We were on a mission to see if a continuous connection with the natural environment would benefit our well-beings and it did, in ways we did not expect. Our society, as Gail pointed out, is now experiencing a new epidemic. It's called nature deficit disorder, and it's affecting a rather large percentage of the population, especially young people, especially college-age people. Anxiety and depression amongst individuals in the United States continues to increase at an alarming rate. Scientists and doctors are now pointing to a lack of outdoor activities and experiences as one of the possible contributing causes for this increase. Over the last several years, I personally suffered from frequent, severe migraine headaches brought on by stress and anxiety. On May 30th in 2017, in Cody, Wyoming, 4 days into our western adventure, I had my last migraine, and I have been free of headaches ever since. So what changed in my head? Well, I can tell you with certainty that my mind was profoundly affected by the connections I made with the natural environment during the 7 months we lived in the Northern Rockies. As with previous adventures into this region, the Rockies answered a lot of questions regarding my life, and it put my mind at peace. What is important in life became well defined. What is not important or beyond my control drifted downstream with the rest of the Earth's decay. I literally stood in several rivers during those months. In fact, several organizations are now placing patients in clear-running rivers who suffer from terminal illnesses, mental disorders, and physical pain, and the results are remarkable, especially with returning combat veterans suffering from PTSD. Many of those patients are waving a flag while they're standing in the river too. I highly recommend it. Fly fishing will take you 10,000 miles away from your last problem. Over those 7 months, we watched our surroundings change in great detail, recording which trees turned color, how wildlife migrated, how weather changed, how the sun slowly moved from the southern horizon to the southern, from the northern horizon to the southern over the course of the seasons, how the stars changed position in the night sky, how the presence of the whole landscape changed each day, and how the local people acclimated to these natural occurrences. If you spend a significant amount of time out on the locations we visited, you might observe what we did, that most folks out there have a deeper connection to their natural surroundings. The Rocky Mountains are not necessarily an easy place to live. Often, it is more like survival. Weather is often extreme, forest fires are a daily concern, and water can be in short supply. On any given year, huge snowpacks can lead to flooding and landslides that all but eliminate the growing season. It can be blazing hot one summer, and the next, the 4th of July, will be your only day of summer. Winters can be downright brutal. Sustained winds can reach hurricane strength any day of the year. In fact, at some of the small airports, pilots often joke that they don't use a windsock to verify wind direction and velocity. They employ a logging chain. You might also observe that people out west seem to have a better sense of purpose and direction in their lives, and for the most part seem more at peace. They collaborate more with each other because it's a necessity. They spend a lot of time outdoors working hard and playing hard. They don't resist the natural environment, they embrace it. Yes, the beauty of the West contributes to this lifestyle and cannot be ignored. But perhaps it's this beauty that overpowers everything else and puts into perspective what really matters in our existence on this planet. There is a lot more open space in the western half of the country. The sky is enormous. Humans are merely microbes against a massive expanse of towering rocks, dense forests, 100-mile basins and valleys, deep canyons, endless plains, and crystal clear lakes and rivers. Did you know that the population of the entire state of Montana is half the population of the Columbus metro area? Montana's population is approximately 1 million people spread out over more than 147,000 square miles. That's less than 7 people per square mile. There's just one area code for the entire state. You'll see me wearing a t-shirt every now and then. It says 406. What's 406? Area code. By comparison, Columbus's metro population averages 421 people per square mile. Metro areas can often obscure the natural environment and thus make it easier for us to lose our connection with it. There is a reason why Native Americans hold the mountains and water as sacred places. These environments can and will make you feel better. That's not to say the same results can't be achieved elsewhere. But in my opinion, the Rockies is a good place to go and get a swift kick in the head. It will get your mind right and headed in a better direction in short order. So, how does one make a connection to the natural environment and become well? There's no set prescription that is a one-size-fits-all remedy. Each of you must walk your own trail. But you might try some of the ingredients we threw into our recipe, so listen very carefully. From the end of May until the end of December 2017, my son Conrad and I hiked mountain trails, kayaked rivers and lakes, rode horses, walked through giant cedar forests that were here before the arrival of Columbus, watched eagles, hawks, and ospreys soar and catch fish, rode mountain bikes through the forest and along riverbanks, witnessed the incredible morning of the Badlands, encountered elk, pronghorn, deer, moose, bighorn sheep, bison, fox, coyotes, rabbits, quail, pheasants, and wild turkeys, walked swinging bridges over waterfalls, not for the faint of heart, caught dozens of garter snakes and frogs, mostly Conrad did that, fly fished on the Bitterroot, Big Hole, Big Blackfoot, Yak, Kootenai, Bull, St. Joe, and Spokane rivers, caught beautiful native cutthroat, rainbow, German brown, and red band trout, and released all of them. Skipped stones in the Painted Rocks Reservoir, watched 4th of July fireworks with the Mission Mountains as a backdrop, rode the ferry across Puget Sound during a lifting fog, took a John Deere combine ride during the wheat harvest in eastern Washington, were mesmerized by mountain thunderstorms and blizzards happening at the same time. Walked through the rainforest on the Olympic Peninsula, swam in Flathead and Bull Lakes. It was really cold. Climbed enormous rocks deposited by the Great Flood and wandered through endless canyons cut by that same flood. Strolled the beach on the Washington coast, studied wildflowers in the forest and alpine meadows, worked in my sister's vegetable garden and had picnics overlooking 170 million years of mountain making, had ice cream on Main Street, saw our first western tanager in the Bitterroots, laid down in the middle of the Avery Highway along the St. Joe River at midnight and watched shooting stars. Flew kites and model airplanes over the eastern Washington prairie, mooed at cows from the truck. Some mooed back. It's cool. Viewed spectacular fall colors in the high country of Washington, Idaho, and Montana. Chanced some backcountry mountain forest service roads that were nothing short of terrifying. Let our friend Lindsay drive us on one of those back roads at dusk, much of it in reverse. In bear country, equally as terrifying. Visited gardens, parks, museums, and fine bakeries. Cooked dinner on the outdoor grill nearly every night until winter arrived. Laid out peanut obstacle courses for chipmunks and squirrels in our campground. Roasted marshmallows over the fire while Terry played his guitar and sang old Western cowboy songs under millions of stars. Made snowmen, threw snowballs at each other, rode antique sleds down Martha's Lanes. That didn't fit really well on them, but it still worked. Designed and fabricated a Ouija board and successfully contacted some of our deceased relatives, all of whom refused to share the winning lottery numbers with us, but encouraged us to keep playing. Observed spectacular sunsets after 10 p.m., got awakened by stunning sunrises at 3:30 a.m. Went to 3 air shows, tried different foods, read several good books, completed several jigsaw puzzles in the evening, although we gave up on the Harry Potter one. Witnessed a total solar eclipse in the Oregon wilderness, spotted the ISS orbiting overhead, speeding along at 17,000 miles per hour, had wonderful, long, intellectual, and goofy conversations over all those thousands of miles we drove that nearly equal the distance around the equator, of the Earth around the equator. Made new friends, searched for Saskatoon Drive each and every evening everywhere we live to watch the wildlife come down out of the mountains and the woods, to graze in the meadows and on the riverbanks. We continue making evening drives to this day. We are still counting the wildlife, and we're still searching for Sasquatch, too. All of these activities and experiences erase much of the negativity we experienced in our daily lives prior to taking this journey. Along with the incredible memories, we came back to Ohio, transformed, and without question, feeling very good. Now, if you listen very carefully to that list of ingredients, you will probably conclude most of what we experience required just one thing: our presence. Just being in those places was without question the best therapy I've ever undertaken. That's not to say that good psychological counseling and prescription medications are without merit, but from my own personal experiences with each of them, connecting with the natural environment produced the best results. Plus, it was a lot more enjoyable. One of the challenges I had during this project was deciding how I was going to exhibit the results, and I spent quite a bit of time pondering this. While I was out west, I purposely wanted to shoot all of the photographs with a cell phone camera. Aside from it being easy to carry, I wanted to show my audience that today's technology allows most of us the ability to take good pictures without a lot of expensive equipment and a lot of extensive training. Even Conrad was able to take a good photograph of me while we explored the Badlands. He put this picture here. I shot over 1,200 images during our 7-month journey, and again, purposely approached taking these images, like most individuals would, as a typical snapshot. None of the images in this exhibit have been color enhanced and photoshopped. You are seeing these landscapes as they appeared in front of us, except for the images of the solar eclipse back there. I'm not sure any phone cameras programmed to capture what that event really looked like. The light was just amazing. There's no way I could duplicate it in those images. Both Conrad and I agreed that the solar eclipse is probably the most spectacular thing we have ever seen. You have not seen a real solar eclipse until you've seen one at 100% away from city lights. 99% or less is the equivalent of turning the lights on in a dark room. Towards the end of my leave, I began arranging images into triptych panels and adding descriptions about some of the experiences we had in the places pictured. After all, I wanted to share with my audience what was going through my head while we visited each of these places. This exhibit is intended to be much more than a collection of images. After I completed the writing of all the panels, I thought there would certainly be a few individuals who would find it hard to believe that the kind of growth and healing we had could happen by just being in these places. So I recalled from my collection several quotes about the natural environment, many from individuals of historical note, and added those words to the panels in an effort to validate what both my son and I saw, felt, heard, and experienced. What the natural environment can do to one's soul has been known by ancient cultures for thousands of years. I think it's fair to say that in today's world, it is easier for one to lose their way and become disconnected from nature. The results are poor health, lost direction, and unhappiness. Connecting with the natural environment will make you feel better, give direction and purpose to your life, and definitely make you smile more. Just working with the images each day for the past year continues to bring me inner peace and happiness. As a designer, I also wanted to create an identity for this exhibition. I began with the trout icon that appears on every piece. It is replicated from the image I still have in my memory of a big German brown that came out of the water and broke my line while I was fly fishing the Big Hole River in Montana some years ago. Fish that come out of the water are full of spirit and more alive than any other moments in their existence. I use this monogram to symbolize the kind of spirit my son and I had during this adventure. I also included a directional compass. It's centered on due west. Additionally, all of the mounting hardware is fabricated from western cedar, an indigenous species to the American West. The shape of each piece is inspired by the anatomical makeup of the letter W. I don't consider myself a writer. However, creatives in the design and advertising industry have to compose words that grab an audience's attention quickly. I thought "Be Well Out Here" was an accurate way to describe in a few words what this project is all about. And why do I call it the Big Go West? I get that question a lot. Many years ago, my good friend Bob Brown, who graciously flew up today to see this presentation, Bob Brown and I were preparing to fly as Moody from South Carolina on what would be my first flight out to the Rockies in a single-engine aircraft. After completing the pre-flight walk-around, I looked at him and said, "Are we ready?" And he replied, "Kick the tires and light the fire. It's time to head for the Big Go West." So we got in the plane and took off. And Bob gave me the privilege of piloting my first leg of that journey. I am forever indebted to Bob for allowing me the opportunity to view this part of the planet from the altitudes we flew together all those years. During all of those flights, Bob helped me become a better pilot, and he inspired me to keep searching for inner peace. What a sacred privilege it was to do the searching in the American West at the altitudes just above the terrain of your friend. What an incredibly beautiful planet to live on. Perhaps the best surprise I experienced during this leave was viewing everything we saw and experienced through the eyes of my son. This put many of the places I had visited in years past in a completely new perspective. Share nature with your children and they will share happiness with you. We simply had the time of our lives during all 4 seasons in places we will not soon forget. Those memories keep us spiritually connected with the West, the universe, and with each other. It is my hope that all of you will be inspired by my work and words and go out to discover this beautiful earth, perhaps starting in your own backyard. Take some time every week to go outside and look, listen, and touch what is around you in the natural environment. Examine it closely. Be curious about how it was all made, how old it is, what lives in it, how it feels to the touch. Revel in its purifying smell, its color, its roar, and its silence. Like me, you might discover that this process removes all the swirling chaos going on in your head. It will also make your body feel better too. Go to places that are sacred. Go to faraway places that make the journey an adventure. Embrace nature, and she will embrace you. Share these experiences with your family and friends. Allow your spirit to connect with everything out there. Risk finding out something you didn't know about yourself. You will most definitely discover what matters most in life. Please keep in mind that we don't own this rock moving through the galaxy at 515,000 miles per hour, but we are ultimately responsible for its care. In doing so, you will discover peace, wellness, perhaps a smile you forgot you had. Thank you, and peace to all.